What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Givenchy, and I cannot believe that we are here with episode 9 of Spartacus, House of Ashur. Oh my god, it is crazy. So I missed episode 8. It was a busy week last week, just with life, school, other things going on. But honestly, like, episode 8 was nothing but like, we gonna get into it because, like, I don't know if I should be proud of like the prediction scenarios that I was like, oh, these things are gonna happen, or if I should eat crow, because within those same scenarios, everything that I was like, this is gonna happen or this should happen, the complete opposite happened. Crazy times. But that episode was so emotional. Like, yeah. It took me even a long time to watch episode 9. It came out last Friday, and I think I watched it 2 days ago. I was just like, oh my god, like, I can't. But we're here ahead of the finale. Guys, I'm sad, but let's get into it. So the director of episode 9, Those Who Remain, was Robyn Grace. The writer was Diya Mishra, and the DP, Dave Garbett. But before we get into episode 9, so season 1, episode 8, Horizons. So lots of things happened, right? So Tarchon and his girlfriend like planned to kill that Roman man who was abusing her. That ended up happening in the ring. But he was also beefing with his dad. So it was just a lot going in. And the whole episode, Celadus is like, listen, I don't care how you feel about me. I don't care how you feel about these decisions. Like, I love you. You are my son. And he's like, don't call me son. Treat me like a man. And I'm just like, Anywho's, Viridia was in an impossible decision, but she decided to do her duty as a daughter of someone in the Senate and marry Pompey so that Gabinius can strengthen like his house and his status and his position against the moves that Julius Caesar is trying to make. And then, of course, Celadus ended up taking Achillia's place in the games as house champion, and he was killed by a Scythian who Proclus went and found in the deep south. And so episode 8 just was not a good episode, like, emotionally. Story-wise, incredible. Emotionally, it was all bad. So let's talk about like the predictions that I said that did come true. So I think it had to be like episode 4 or 5, babes, where I was just like, Celadus and Tarchon, both of them aren't making it out of the season alive. Achillia is gonna be the thing that comes between them. It's gonna be a rift. They're not making it. And Celadus didn't make it. And this sucked because I'm like, yeah, one of them ain't gonna make it. And then Celadus didn't make it. And I'm just like, why? Should have been Darragh. But then it's like, would I have wanted Celadus to grieve like that? Like, Dan Hamill is such a good actor. So it's like, he dies and you lose him. Or Jordy's character with Tarchon dies and you get to watch Dan Hamill just be a wreck. And it's like, this was gonna suck either way, and it fucking sucks. Like, I'm still hurting. Like, this is crazy. And I'm just like, I've never been more mad to be right than this, right? But let's talk about all the predictions that were like so close, but no cigar. Okay, I was like, okay, boom. This is a perfect opportunity for Ashur and Cossutia and then Gabinius to leverage their relationship to kind of get a one-up on Caesar. Like, Viridia is going to be in a space where, it's time for her to choose between Quintus and Ashur, and she's going to be like choosing Ashur. This is time for Cossutia and Gabinius to bury the hatchet with Ashur, like all those things, right? And it was like, we got into all these spaces. Even when I said Proclus is about to be like scared of shit because now everybody knows his shit is out in the open. All of these things were in question, and then the script just went somewhere else. Gabinius and them ended up, instead of like leveraging this, Cossutia let Proclus punk her. Mind you, they had the upper hand. She let him punk her, and it made them put Viridia, Jesus Christ, put Viridia in a position to now have to marry like the worst possible option, right? It was just bad. I was watching, I like started tweeting and I was like, okay, my prediction setups are like happening, and then they just kept going somewhere else and I was like, I can't believe that I watched it's like when you place a bet on a horse and your horse is like beating everybody's ass, and we're finally in the last 100 meters, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you lost, and it's like, but all the signs said that I was gonna win. Like, what is going on? So yeah, it was bad. It was definitely humbling. I don't even know what to say about episode 8. It was just crazy. Talk about losing bad. It was loss after loss after loss. Like, the things that should have emboldened them and the things that should have made certain what do you call them, alliances happen, it didn't. It was like the exact fucking opposite, and it was all because of fear. And I would say that it's because of the fear that kind of starts in the house Gabinius and the house Cossutia. Like, if Cossutia would have taken Proclus's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking get you back, you're never gonna get over on me, blah 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 blah. If she would have took that and been like, fuck you, I'm gonna tell my man, like, let's do it, let's battle it out, then I think everything that I predicted would have happened, or at least some of it would have happened. She got scared and everything went to shit, and I'm just, oh my god. So yeah, that was a blow, guys. That was a blow. But in episode 9, I never read synopses. I never look at like promos for new episodes or anything like that. I love jumping in blind. Is it a double-edged sword? Absolutely. I get to form my own like raw opinions, and I get to experience everything like emotionally right in the moment. But then sometimes like things will happen and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so then I'll have to go back and read the synopsis, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is where this is going. I read the synopsis on episode 9, and it says, Caesar demands a painful sacrifice from Ashur. And I'm like, oh my god. I literally have 3 crying emojis. So I'm just like, what can you want more of? We've already lost Celadus. Like, what else do you want from us? So, this episode was very interesting. I feel like in all of the pain and all of the grief and in all of like the gag twists, it was still kind of funny. Like, to find that Ashur and Cornelia were on the same page about the whole like Pompey thing. Weren't they coming from 2 different places? Yes. Ashur's like, I want her to marry me. And Cornelia's like, I want her to marry Quintus so that we can have our alliance. But, the enemy of my enemy is the person's house I've taken over. I don't know, whatever it is. But Cornelia's pissed, Ashur's pissed, and so Cornelia's like, I'm I'm calling my man. And you're going to have to, like, deal with this whole situation. And it's just like, oh my God. And it's crazy, but also, like, kind of sexy that Cornelia stayed behind to get all of these things in motion. But when it failed, Julius is not blaming her at all. It's like, in his eyes, if she wasn't able to convince somebody to do something, it was because they were like balking at her power, not because she wasn't that persuasive. And in this scenario, like, she really wasn't, because she's trying to persuade Cossutia and Ashur, but the thing is, you don't have that much control over their decisions, or at least as much fear as you think that you've instilled in them for them to be on your side. So, like, this is definitely your fault. And at one point, I don't know if it was the acting, I don't know if I was just looking too deep into it because I act, but it was one of the points where Cornelia and Julius were in the room and they weren't even talking about this at all. Like, she was telling Messia, like, not to be too far, and Julius was just like, you know, you favor her and, you know, all these other things, and like, but your man is here now, like, I'm gonna take you down. But it was something in, like, this scene in one of the looks, I cannot pinpoint it right now, where I'm just like, does Julius blame her a little bit? Will he say it? No, her family is wealthier than his. They're more powerful. But I don't know. Something about his whole demeanor this episode just gives, like, he's never going to openly blame his wife, but you can definitely tell, like, he's ready to murder everybody, basically. And, you know, they end up coming to Ashur and they're like, listen, you fucked this up, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to kill Gabinius. This marriage can't happen. So many different things. And Ashur's like, bro, that's like a mentor to me. That's like a father. Like, he can't stand me, but like, he's like a father to me, or what a father could be in these times. And Cornelia was like, okay, give us an alternative, or this is just going to be what it is. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And he's lucky because Julius wanted to kill him. So it's like, your life or Gabinius' life, right? And Pompey comes into play in this episode, and I like Pompey. He's a terrible person. Like, you can definitely tell he's terrible. Like, when he was sitting with Gabinius and he's playing chess in the game, but he's also playing chess in the mind game and the political game, especially when he's like, no, I think you misunderstood my question. Is your daughter gonna bend to the will of her husband? Basically, I'm gonna be slapping her around. She's gonna do whatever the fuck I said. So do she understand? And Gabinius is, you can tell, like, he's struggling, and he's just like, you know, she understands the duty of a wife. So much like Viridia, and clearly she gets this from Gabinius, they use their words in ways where they answer with a literal definition, even though the undertones and everything that they're feeling is basically like, they can also use what they just said to their own advantage. So by saying, you know, she understands the duty, right? He's not outright saying, like, yeah, you can take my daughter and beat her and rape her and live up to the reputation and stuff that you have. Like, she'll do everything that she's required to do. No, he's gonna tell you the intellectual answer. She knows what society expects. And Viridia, in her dealings with Pompey, she kind of answers in kind. Like, she's like, oh, you know, never would have saw myself here. Like, which, of course, she didn't. And so while he'll take it as like, oh yeah, like excitement, Viridia is like, no, I literally, I would have never seen myself here. But this is where we are. And, you know, the Gabinius household, they are suffering. Well, it's like straight, strained, fake smiles. Like, they are sending their daughter to the slaughterhouse. Like, it just, there's just no other way to put it. In this episode 2 though, right? Let's talk about the grief of it all. Tarchon lost his dad, and my man's is struggling bad. But shout out to Guy Daddy Korris for being there and just letting him know, like, the only way you get through this is by holding on to the people who are still alive. Like, your father would have wanted you to live. And while, like, me, who don't like Tarchon, was like, well, yeah, you should have thought about this before picking a fight with your dad, and knowing that one or both of y'all could have left this earth pissed at each other. But the other part is like, it's his dad. Like, okay, whatever. Keep on cheating, nice. But also, Achillia is grieving too. And Korris is like, listen, and I actually agree with him on this. I would have loved for Achillia to get private final moments with Celadus. But Korris is right. Like, this was his father. Unfortunately, like, you're not wife, you're not even girlfriend, you're a fellow gladiator, which means that, like the other gladiators, you don't get to have special treatment and special alone time with him, because that is not your father. Like, you're not related to him. So it just kind of sucked. And Achillia is still like, Tarchon, bro, put this shit behind you, bro. Like, your dad died wanting this to be the last thing. And Tarchon is still like, oh, well, you're not a proper champion, all these other things. Okay, whatever. Pompey goes to Ashur's house because he's like, I heard about this Achillia girl. Julia's been telling me all about her. I would love to see this face to face. So they're out there. They doing their thing, they arguing. Ashur comes out and he's like, hey, y'all, attention. So they fall in line. And, you know, we're letting them know, hey, Achillia is going to be fighting. Pompey, what do they call him? Council or something like that? Consul. You know, choose who you want to fight. So he ends up picking Arato. And Achillia was like, he's weak. I just beat his ass earlier today. No. Now, she's speaking out of turn. But Pompey's like, every time Ashur was like trying to correct her, he's like, hold on. Huh. Things on my body likes this. Let's keep it going. So she challenges Tarchon once and for all. So Korris is like, all right, y'all, get the practice weapons. And Pompey's like, hold up. No. Get the motherfucking metal, bitch. So they have to fight with real swords. She got the real spear. They got the real sword. Korris came up to them and he was like, hey, I don't give a fuck what y'all got going on. You will not be killing each other. So, you know, make this shit a show, but don't make me have to come in here and snatch y'all asses up. So, like little badass kids, they're like, okay, whatever. So they're fighting. Tarchon draws first blood. Korris is looking at Ashur. Ashur looking at Korris. Both of them sweating. And they're just like, oh my fucking God. Because everybody know they hate each other. And it's like, this man wants them to fight with real swords. And, you know, just when people thinking like, okay, Achillia, you know, she might be down and out or whatever, she draws blood. And Pompey even makes a note where he was like, oh, your champion grows tired. And here go Cornelia ass trying to double down or whatever. But Achillia ends up coming out on top and she wins the match. So everybody's like, okay, so Achillia's like, hey, put this shit behind you, bro. We don't have a proper match. Like, it is what it is. And Pompey's like, come! And so Korris looking at Ashur, Ashur looking at Korris, Korris looking at Achillia, Achillia looking at Tarchon. And everybody's like, oh my God, all right. Now, would she want to kill him? Yes. Does Tarchon look like kill me because my dad is not here? Like, I have nothing else to live for? Yeah. But Achillia, again, speaks out of turn. And she's like, I won't have him dead because I owe a debt to his father. So maybe in the future, but tonight a debt has to be paid. And so Pompey is like turned on. I wrote in my notes, I was like, he's getting turned on by her disobedience. And let's talk about it. I had it in my thoughts, but we're gonna talk about it right now. This whole dynamic with him agreeing to marry Viridia, and all but openly demanding obedience and subservience from her. But then watching Achillia, it's the very lack of obedience and the lack of subservience, even though she is under the title of slave, that arouses him. And that dynamic just reminds me of like when white men be like having their dalliances with black women and then going on to marry white women. And I'm talking about a specific type of person, not all of them, because they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna marry somebody who I can control, but I want to have my fun with somebody that's wild, but we'll never be seen like together, like you're a secret, you're still less than, but I will be able to live and be passionate with this wild thing while going back to my regular life with this thing that I can control. And so knowing that this is literally how he's viewing both of these women. You just said you want a bitch that don't talk back, and now the one that's talking back, you're like intrigued. So Ashur picks up on this and he's like, well, how would you like if she come back to your chambers, you know, champion, it's a gift or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, you gotta be motherfucking kidding me. And I'm just like, oh my God, Ashur. Listen, in that moment, Ashur, I was done with Ashur. Like in that moment, I'm like, oh my God, because I was picking it up the whole time. But that ended up being the moment. So he ends up going to Hilara, and he was like, hey, get everything together. Hilara goes to Messia, and you don't really know what it is, but she's just like, listen, if you do this, this means everybody in this house lives. If you don't, we all dead, girl. Like, it just is what it is. So Achillia ends up getting told, hey girl, time for you to render some services. And she's like, are you fucking shitting me? But then it's revealed, if all goes to plan, she won't be having sex with nobody, right? We just gotta do the things. And I was like so relieved, but also this really goes to show, while everybody is trying to ridicule Ashur, even Pompey saying like you're a traitor to your people, you were one of your men and then you turned your back on them. How is it that you got to survive, right? And everybody's looking at him as like less than, but then also less than less. I don't know, it's like super weird in how they look at him. But even though Ashur has dreams of being like the greatest house, he has not forgotten his roots and his connections with those people. To get the majority of the house in on this plan, to include Achillia, to include Messia, who's been answering to somebody else as if she don't work for you. Like, this was such a risk, but it really goes to show like how much Ashur trusts everybody in his house and how different he is from every other Dominus in Capua. Like, I just genuinely like that. Like, I don't know, I like that. He was just definitely somebody who didn't forget his roots, and it played out in this whole thing. So Achillia's with Pompey. They're drinking, you know, wine, they're chilling. And we actually get a little bit more of her backstory than we ever got. And turns out, under her watch, one of the royal girls who we've been seeing in her hallucinations ended up dying by spear. Now, in one of her hallucinations, she's the one who threw the spear. But in this explanation, she doesn't allude to whether she did it or if it was an accident, friendly fire, or whatever. But to keep her from getting sentenced to death, her father sold her to the Romans to spare her life. So all this is happening, and Achillia ends up slipping the same concoction that Cornelia did for Ashur into Pompey's drink. Ashur ends up... Was he there? No. So at Gabinius' house, he's chilling with Viridia. They get ready to play some games, whatever. She's like, you know, Papa, it's my last night. We just have a moment with you. When there's an urgent message from Pompey for Gabinius to go to the house. So Gabinius was like, fuck him. I ain't want to wear. But Viridia's like, Dad, you know what? You've been talking about duty. I'm going to be here when you get back. So he's like, all right, bet. He goes over. Ashur greets him. And they're having a conversation. But in this conversation, Gabinius does the unexpected. And he calls Ashur by his name. So Ashur's like taken aback. And, you know, he's telling him like, I know you love my daughter. And I know my daughter is fond of you. But for you to not fight this into sacrifice, knowing what this means for the both of you, means a lot to me. And it actually proves to me that you love my daughter like immensely. So Gabinius is like, all right, let me go see what the fuck Pompey want, because I gotta get back to my job. So Ashur's like trying to stop him, trying to do all these things, and they go into the room, and Pompey is out, a whole full frontal shot. Achillia's hurrying up and getting up, and Gabinius is livid. He's like, you just took my daughter's hand in marriage, and you're over here cheating on her. And now to us, the audience, it is clear that he is under the influence. But Gabinius is raising hell. So Cornelia and Julius come out of the room, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? And it's like, he's going off, and he's telling about all the things. Achillia is covering up. And, you know, Pompey's like, I don't even remember fucking her. Like, all these other things. Now, Julius is looking at Cornelia, but Cornelia is looking at Ashur, and instantly she's clocking, this is the alternative, right? So instead of killing Gabinius and stopping this marriage, we could just have Gabinius see that Pompey was already going into the marriage cheating on Viridia, and we know how he feels about his daughter, and so he's gonna call it off regardless, because it's like a mass disrespect. Boom, no bloodshed, right? But Gabinius is going on and on and on. Now Julius is looking at him like, bruh, like, calm it down, like, let's go. Even Ashur's like, hey, Gabs, it's cool, we get the message, call it off, whatever. And he's just going. And so at this point, Pompey's like, I'm the motherfucking consul. You ain't gonna talk to me like that. And he goes to take his sword out of the scabbard, just like taking it out. But again, he is drunk and drugged. And his arm gets away from him, and he slits Gabinius right in the chest. So everybody's like, oh my God. So Ashur's like, oh my God. Like, this is not supposed to happen. Like, Gabinius, just hold on. So Pompey's like, get the medicus. And he's like, I don't have a fucking medicus, you bitch. And Julius is like, Pompey, you need to get out of here. Like, at this point, we gotta like protect Rome, right? And do what we need to do. So Gabinius is lying there, his eyes closed, and Cornelia was like, Ashur, damn, you smarter than I thought. Now we got all of this shit done. The wedding is off, and I mean, Gabinius is like kind of dead. I mean, you didn't want that, but like, two birds, one stone, right? And you didn't even have to get your hands dirtied. Good on you. Well, Gabinius was only just like passed out from the shock. And so he wakes up and he was like, it was you, like my daughter will know of this. And Ashur's like, no, like, you know, like you don't understand. And this is and we've already seen like Gabinius don't know when to stop. Sir, this is literally why you're laying here dying in his arms, because you don't know when to stop and like shut the fuck up. And so he's like going, like you're on your dying breath and you're just like, Viridia will know, and like you, oh my god, you're the same, you're just not, da da da. And poor Ashur actually ends up having to kill Gabinius with his own hands by smothering him in his arms and crying the entire time. And all of this is happening, and it was just supposed to be a simple house call. And Viridia is back at home waiting for her father to show up, and little does she know, she will never see him alive again. So there's that, guys. What an episode. Woo! So I love that the title of this episode is rooted in the conversation that Korris had with Tarchon when he was like, you know, how do you move beyond it? Like, how do you move beyond the grief? And Korris was like, by clinging on to those who remain. And like, with back-to-back major deaths, it's looking like we all we got. Like, I don't know, like, what do I do? Who do I run to, right? I also like that Korris told Tarchon after he lost, legitimately, he was like, bro, we got bigger fish to fry. Proculus is at the root of all of this shit, and your champion needs you to back her up. And it seems like Tarchon might acquiesce to the request, but grief is a thing, man, and he cannot stand her. So I'm just very curious on if he'll actually back her, or if he'll go back to supporting her until he's able to actually kill her. So at this point, I don't know that he'll double cross her this season. I just don't believe that he's fully on her side either. I don't know. Definitely ready for Cornelia to, you know, see the ground, explore the depths of the earth, you know. It's time. Like Cornelia, oh my god, like Cornelia. She's like Helen of Troy, but like the evil version, right? She's still about to cause wars, but Cornelia will kill all of y'all. Like, you think like, oh, I'm about to fight for her and you want your side to win, but Cornelia is about to cause the war and poison both y'all so that she's the only one alive. Like, it's time for Cornelia, you know, to meet the fates, is all I'm saying. Uncle Servius. So we get a little bit of a backstory with, I think this is Gabinius' brother, plotting on Cossutia. And this comes up in a conversation with Viridia where she's like, listen, you need to look out for your safety and you need to put some coin to the side, because people will be plotting against you on what's rightfully yours. And Viridia was like, are you talking about Uncle Servius? And Cossutia was like, listen, you are a woman in society. You have power based on your daddy. But when your daddy did, and when your husband did, some other man is going to try to come in because they don't think that you deserve it. So you need to be thinking about these relationships politically. This ain't about love. You will never love him. He will never love you. But you're going to love yourself. And you're going to love yourself enough to set yourself up. So I love this conversation because, again, it goes back to Cossutia's main motivation being her daughter. She be making some fucked up decisions, but she's going to try to protect Viridia at all costs. Now, what does Gabinius' death mean for this? Will anybody honor the fact that Gabinius still said that she is not to marry Pompey? Did he just flee and Julius got him out, and so now Pompey's just gonna make the decision that this is not gonna be a good marital like union? Definitely curious to see how this is gonna go. I'm not looking forward to Viridia's grief. Like, my sis just started putting a little bit of a smile on her face, and now the man who's the most important person in her life is gone. should have just let him bleed out. Like, I don't know, man. He was dying anyway. Oh my God. Like, oh my God. Ashur did everything that he could to do this without any casualty. He came up with a great plan on the fly based on how Pompey was reacting to Achillia. You could see, like, this is something that came to him all of a sudden, and it only worked because very few people were in on the plan. Just for Gabinius to die from his own boastings and his inability to let shit go. Just let it go. It brings me back to really wanting to know some of those gaps with Ashur's backstory, because this is definitely a be careful what you wish for, because I keep landing on he wanted everything. He wanted to inherit everything that the house Batiatus had. It's not seeming like Batiatus was in good favor. And so, yeah, you're the head of the house, but you inherited all of the fucking problems. Yeah. It's, boy, the gods is not on his side, bro. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I don't know. This can't go anywhere. And Steven said on Twitter that season 2 is already written. So we just waiting on STARZ to be like, hey, let's go. Because is there a universe where Viridia, where the truth would come out and Viridia would forgive Ashur, even though he was dying? I mean, I guess you could market it as like a merciful death because he was in pain, because there were multiple witnesses to the fact that Pompey actually stabbed Gabinius. But I think Ashur's guilt would like get in the way of that. Yikes. Ooh. But with all of this pain and all this loss, I need Viridia to go on like her Daenerys Targaryen like thing. Like, we're gonna need some Khaleesi here. We're gonna need some Daenerys Stormborn. Like, we're gonna need some Dracarys. My sister's been through way too much pain, and at this point, destroy everybody. Like, it is what it is. And then my final thought, and this is a question: do y'all think that Ashur will tell Korris exactly what happened? That's the person he considers family above all else. Do you think that he's going to tell Korris the whole truth? Y'all tell me. Let me know in the comments, and I'm gonna leave it right there. You feel me? Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen, make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also find me on Twitter at Kivanshi, and you can also find the official Twitter page, podcast Twitter page, at Pod So There's That. On Instagram, it's at So There's That Podcast, and I post all of my news and film and TV updates, as well as links to my article. You can go to www.sothere'sthatpodcast.com. You can go to sothere'sthatpodcast.substack.com, or you can just click the links in my bio and it'll take you right there without any thinking. With that, guys, I'm gonna head on out. And I'm going to be dreaming about what could possibly come in the finale. So I'm going to catch y'all in the next podcast episode.